Love the game 24/7 with Coach Smith. Just going to give it a few minutes and get started. I won't be long because I know everybody's trying to get to their NFL football watching this afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. Just giving it a few minutes to allow some other people to join in. I'm on multiple platforms with live, giving out some good information today. Won't be long at all. So appreciate you all coming on board. Just bear with me. It's 1:15 East Coast time. And I will get started here shortly. Okay, let me just go ahead and get started. And for those who join in, can just get caught up. But wow, for those of us who are on the East Coast, I don't know if you guys in the Southeast, I know we're getting it right now in North Carolina. A lot of rain all day until early tomorrow morning. It's pouring down and windy. Those of us on the East Coast, I know my family back in Florida, they got it yesterday. So it was coming out of the Gulf and moving up. So be safe out there. If you don't have to be driving anywhere, don't be. Great day to be inside watching football, right? And basketball, of course, college and some NBA. But, I'm going to share some very good information today because of what's happening next week for those of us who are into football. But this message is like I always do, is for every sport, male or female. It's just good information to have and to share. But I'm here in the North Carolina area. I usually go Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern time. I'm going today because yesterday was graduation. And I do work at a state university here in North Carolina. And so we had graduation. I had graduation duties to be a part of. All right, Coach Harvey, appreciate you joining me, brother. You guys had a great season. Definitely wish you guys could have took that state championship home, but I know you'll be back there again. So, but those seniors that are going out at Clearwater Central Catholic back home where I used to coach for quite some time, those guys had a great season. He has kids going that may be what I'm talking about today, what I'll be addressing today. He has some kids that are maybe doing early signing on this week. This Wednesday is coming up for those college football kids. And so I'm just going to touch on that a little bit, but overall, it's just going to be in general for any sport, for any student, athlete, male or female, just good information. But I'll be coming from just talking about what's happening on Wednesday, the 20th, I believe. And then I think the Coach Harvey on my Instagram. I'm on several platforms live right now, Facebook and IG and YouTube. But Coach Harvey could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the other signing day, the regular or normal signing date, is like February 7th, I think, coming up. But for those who are early signing, it's next week on Wednesday, the 20th, I believe, coming up for college football early signees. You can get those calendar dates for the various sports, college sports on there, what the dead period is, quiet period, early signing period, and the regular or normal signing period. Those things are important to know for your student, male or female, your student who participates in other sports other than football. But um, but yeah, so yeah, like I said, normally I'm here on Saturdays at 11 a.m. But I'm doing today because I had graduation duties as a college administrator, and I was excited to be able to participate in that and see some students that I've dealt with graduate. So that's always exciting to see that. Um, and also, my son is back with the signed last week with the Cardinals, so he's back to finish out the season with them. So excited for that. Um, I don't think he's playing today, but probably he may get activated hopefully next Sunday. But excited for that news that he's back to finish out the season, and he's back fully healthy. Thank God for that, and get ready for next season, preparing for next season. But also, I'll be traveling, going to see our new grandbaby that was just born on this December. So excited for that, to be going to the DFW sometime next week. I'll be traveling for the holidays to go be with my grandkids. So excited to be able to do that for the holiday break when we break next week. Um, so that's just wanted to just give that little tidbit of information. Um, so while I was not doing it live yesterday, but I'm live today, and I'll be doing some, probably doing a live next week as well, as we probably Wednesday, with the signing date and everything. Uh, December 20th, I think that's Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it is. Yeah, Wednesday, early signing period for college football. But let's get right into it. Once again, Coach Smith, love the game 24/7. And as I said, I'm excited and glad to be doing this. Please start following me at love the game 24_7 and not Coach Smith on this IG. If you're on IG, I should say, start following me on love the game 24_7. Love the game 24_7 on IG starting in the new year, 2024. I'll still have Coach Smith, but I'll be mainly doing my recruiting business and service and helping middle school to high school athletes and beyond on that IG in 2024. So please follow me there, so you can continue to get great um, free information from me. And then I'll also be promoting my paid service for my digital course that I'll be putting out in 2024 into January, February, for those who want to get more detailed and more in-depth. But as I said, you're talking to someone who was blessed to play at every level, had an older brother that played at every level. I coached for well over a decade in high school football. I've helped a lot of young men and been blessed to be able to coach some young men who are about to fulfill their dream playing at the next level, like my son, who's been blessed to play at every level. So when you're getting information not from theory or some idea. You're getting it from Coach Smith, who I have personal experience. So I'm speaking from my personal experience, going through this myself, and also having a son as well that has experience going through it, and an older brother as well. And we've all coached. Myself and my two older brothers, we all have years of experience coaching high school football, as well as playing. So you're not hearing from someone who doesn't know what they're talking about. I don't know it all, but I've been around this game since I've been 7 years old. So I've seen a lot, experienced a lot, and just love it, And I've also, as I said, was a track athlete as well, and from middle school all the way through college as well, playing football and track and field. So those are experiences that I'm speaking from. But I just want to just come in right now and just share, like I was saying earlier, early signing date is coming up for the high school kids, right? And so you're going to be a lot of those 4 and 5-star kids mainly, but there will be some 2 and 3-star kids who will be signing if they've already made their decision of where they want to play, and if that particular college is serious about their offer to that young man or young lady. But being we're talking about college football, we're talking about the young men right now. So if those, thanks for joining me, Sunshine 3911, appreciate it. But for those young men right now who are going to have the opportunity to be have that firm offer and they've already committed, and if that school, that college that offered them If they're blessed to be able to sign early on Wednesday next week, great. If their mind is made up, you don't want to drag that out. You want to go ahead and secure your offer that has been given to you and you've committed. Um, I mean, unless you're some major recruit, 4 or 5 star recruit, or and even some 3 stars being recruited, and maybe you haven't decided yet. Maybe you don't want to do an early signing, and I wouldn't if you're not totally sure, and if you haven't taken your official visit, you want to do that. So be sure. Um, Mostly those guys who probably will sign early probably have done their official visits that they've been allowed to be able to utilize. So I would definitely say if you someone that has some considerable offers that have been presented to you and they're solid offers and you taken your official visits and you know where you want to go, then yeah, go ahead and do that. And even if you have taken your official visits and you're undecided, then don't do early signing. It's totally up to you. But be sure you sit down with your parents. Be sure you have conversations with those recruiters who are recruiting you to try to continue to get an idea of why you believe or feel you should sign with this particular school. If you have a very involved high school coach like Coach Harvey is at CCC, Clearwater Central Catholic, I'm sure he may have some young men that will be early signing. And at CCC and some other places back there in Florida, and that's great. But don't drag something on if you pretty much are sure. Don't be looking at where somebody else is signing necessarily. You go where you feel as a student athlete, like I did with my son. Because I had my thoughts of where I wanted him to. We both had the 2 schools at the top. He had one. He had BC at the top in Indiana. I had Indiana and then BC, and I was strictly looking at, pretty much, his skill set, and as a quarterback at that time, and where I thought he probably would have been more developed as a quarterback at that time, but it was his personal decision, and I love BC. I'm glad he made his decision, and like I said, he was still blessed to be able to get to the next level. If you have that type of skill set and ability, then hey, you may get that opportunity. And he was blessed to be able to have that. But ultimately, we sat down and we discussed it. But as I told him, my positives and my concerns or whatever my thoughts, and he gave me his, and I told him, whatever your decision is, your mom and dad, we support you, and we're going to be there to support you and come see you play and anything else that we need to do. So. And he made his decision, and it was a great decision that he came up with. But he had parental involvement, right? I'm not leaving this to him to just do on his own to decide. My son. If I had a son or daughter, I'm not leaving it to him to decide. We're going to sit down and talk as a family. We're going to talk to these coaches, these recruiters. They come to your house and visit, have dinner. They do all these things, and you need to get to know them as like they're trying to get to know you. So don't take that lightly. Take every opportunity that you have to get to know these coaches and these recruiters for your son and daughter of where they're looking to spend the next 4 years of their life. Okay. And so these young men who are going to be signing their early signing date next Wednesday for their football scholarships, I just hope and pray, that they, and even though we do have the transfer portal as a resource, which can definitely be used as a positive, but hopefully they made their decision on where they're going and they're there for the 4 years. And I'm sure these coaches are hoping that these young men are solid in their decision for the next 4 years. However, with transfer portal NIL, it's changing the game. And so it may or may not, you may or may not be there for 4 years. And that's okay. I mean, I think sometimes they put a negative spin on that because sometimes, it's personalities and things, with coaches and players and maybe the atmosphere of that school, you thought it was a place that you were gonna, enjoy or whatever. And sometimes you do have to try to do your best to make the best of a situation. However, things do happen, right? And thankfully we do have a transfer portal. Nothing is foolproof. Of course, it's going to take some time to tweak this system with NIL and the transfer portal. But, there are many years where coaches recruit young men and they leave after a year or two and take a better paying and higher paying job. I'm not against that either. However, when these new coaches come in and you may be a kid that they didn't recruit, they may sometimes make it hard on you. And thankfully, we have the transfer portal available to where you have options as a player, as a student athlete in any sport when there's coaching changes. So we have to take all those things in consideration, and stop putting so much of a negative spin on NIL in the transfer portal when college coaches took advantage of getting a higher paying job or a more um, high profile coaching position, whatever sport. I've seen it in football, basketball. I'm sure it happens in volleyball. I've seen it in baseball. You know, I watch a lot of sports, and I listen to the commentators share where this coach came from, blah blah blah. Hey, right now we're at my state university where I'm working right now. The basketball coach, we don't have football, and the basketball team gets all the attention, and we have a great young coach there, and he's done well every year. Um, every year that he's been there at our institution here in North Carolina, he's been very successful. And it's going to be hard for our institution to keep him if he finishes out well this season. I'm sure they already gave him an extension this past season when he did well this past year, um, and I'm sure they may have to give him another one if he finishes strong with what he's done this year. He beat a major college program earlier this year that was ranked. That has never happened in our school history where I'm at. And so with that success he's having, and where I see that him taking that program, he's probably going to leave. And then when you got to think these kids that are here that made a decision to come here, and he leaves and goes somewhere else. Thank God we have the transfer portal. But like I said, we got early signing date up. So be sure that you use all those resources that you have. You student athletes who may get blessed to early sign. However, the other conversation is, what about you kids who are still waiting? Well, with early signing date, it's going to help in transfer portal things happening, because like I said in one of my recent messages, you have kids who are at lower level divisions who are, because of the transfer portal, are being blessed to move up because they're good, right? They're good, and they're getting the opportunity to be to have the opportunity to go play at a higher level. Okay, and so we're thankful for that, for their opportunity. So let's I'm not knocking it. So these kids who are concerned about whether they're going to get offered, who've been waiting, and who are not sure because they may not have some offers that totally extended to them yet. They are hearing that they might get offered, or they have some lower level division offers like FCS or Division II, and that's cool. I've been watching a lot of that. Division III championship this week was on TV, was good. I saw the Division II playoffs are happening as well, and championship that just happened. Watching the Division FCS Division I playoffs. I watched one of my old opponents, North Dakota State, lose to Montana, and that was awesome to watch that. North Dakota State, the tide was turned on them and they lost. So some of you kids who might be in waiting, you need to look at some of those schools: Montana, North Dakota State, Montana State, all of them, South Dakota State. Don't knock these schools because they are great places to go play football. The coach from Montana said it last night after beating North Dakota State. He's been very successful. They have some kids that are going to be blessed to go to the next level. So don't knock it. So if you're sitting here debating on what you want to do, just know there are some very solid options at the Division II, the FCS Division I level, some great opportunities. And so for some of you kids who may not have committed yet, and you may have offers from some of those schools, and you're trying to wait for a Power 5, I would think twice about that. So there are some solid Division II programs. Look at those schools who are in the playoffs. That's where you want to possibly consider going if you feel like you are a Division I type kid, but you don't have, those options to play Power 5 football, but you have FCS Division I, or you have top level Division II. And with the transfer portal, you have an option maybe a year or two down the road as you develop, right? And so that's great to have those. To me, I wish I would have had the transfer portal in the NIL back when I was playing. Man, it would have been a huge help. Coming home from a single mom, and, trying to make things happen. But today, you kids have options, and they'll work all that stuff out over time. All these things that get worked out with the NIL. There's some new proposals with NIL that I think may be good, but we'll see what happens. However, hey, take advantage of the opportunity right now. Go somewhere at a FCS or a Division II level, or even a Division III. But I know this is a thing that I discuss, that you want to do everything you can, because this is going to help pay for your education. So that's the ultimate thing you got to remember. How am I going to get my education paid for? Don't put off, right? And like I said, for some of you kids who still are in waiting, you know, I'm going to share a story with you here. Hold on, let me pause 1 second. All right, sorry about that. Need to get some lighting squared away. And with this weather, my Wi-Fi connection is acting a little funny, but so I just wanted to get some lighting squared away and be sure my Wi-Fi connection is still doing well. But as I said, for you young men that are in waiting for football offers, this is the time now for you to help you. Let me give you some suggestions for some of you guys who are still waiting for football offers. This is the time for you to be sure you start emailing. Football season is over. There are only bowl games coming up, so you should be emailing your, depending on your position, you should be emailing the head coach, the OC or the DC, and your position coach, and the director of recruiting, and the player personnel people. That's what you should be doing right now. You have time, because some of you guys are probably out, I think, this week already for the holiday, for the Christmas break. So that's your homework. That's what you should be doing to help secure yourself possibly getting an offer after the early signing date passes next week, right? And because those coaches are going to be looking for other people. Like I said, most college rosters are filled with, 3 and 4 star and 2-star and 5-star sprinkled in there. In some cases, or maybe 2 or 3-star guys with 4 and 5-star guys in there, because everybody can't get all the 4 and 5-star players, right? And there's only so many 4 and 5-star players. There are probably more between 2 and 4-star athletes, probably more 2 and 3-star athletes. So that's what most of the rosters are made up of in college. I believe in any sport, male or female, because you don't have that many. So they're going to need you 2 and 3-star guys. They're just trying to figure out their transfer portal kids, like who's coming from the lower division to be able to be blessed and play at a higher division, and some high division kids. For whatever reason, I've seen some kids on some rosters from, like I was looking at Townsend State, talking to a high school coach via text about trying to help him with some of his kids up here in the Northeast area via my old college coach connection, and looking at some kids that he had at Townsend State. And I'm looking at their roster. There were some kids from TCU and in South Carolina, Power 5 schools, that have dropped down to Townsend State to lower level or mid-level Division I. So for whatever reason, these kids left Texas Christian, which is a major Power 5 that was in the national championship, lost some kids that went to Townsend State. South Carolina lost a kid that went to Townsend State. So that just boosts Townsend State's level of player, ability, because these kids left Power 5 schools for whatever reason they left. So they don't talk a lot about that in the transfer portal. So there are some kids who are leaving Power 5 and going down, and there's some kids who are leaving lower level Division II. Like I said, the running back at the University of Missouri, the kid at South Dakota State who's in the national championship next weekend for the FCS was from an NAIA school. It's now at FCS Division I. So it's possible, guys. So don't be so quick or think that your opportunity is gone because of 4 and 5-star guys, and you may not even be, labeled really. But it doesn't mean you're not a 2 or 3 or 4-star kid. Okay, you just got to do your homework, as I just shared. You need to have you an introduction letter you should be emailing in a sports profile, like a sports resume made up, right? So you should have that. You should have those things. Okay. And if you don't, get it, you know. So, and as I did before, I'm gonna put my email in the chat, so you can send Coach Smith an email and you can connect with me um, and get some answers, get some help, um, and hopefully get join my join me on my link tree. I'll put that in there too. Let me add that on some of these. Just bear with me. I'll put it in. But you guys got to do your homework. You got to do your part, right? And so there's still opportunities that are gonna come to you guys that aren't sure about where where you may go yet, right? So there's still time, because like I said, the next signing date comes up in February 7th, and you need to have done these things I'm telling you about, introduction letter, emailing. Also, you can put some things in the mail, but I would go on these schools' website, fill out their questionnaires. If you haven't done it, get it done now, ASAP, right? Because these coaches will be looking after they get past this early signing date of who um, who they need to look at after, right? They're gonna be trying to figure out who are the next guys in line that they need to be um, going after. So you have to be sure you're positioning yourself right to um, to get offered. And if you don't take the time to do some of the things that I'm telling you right now, then um, you're gonna possibly miss your opportunity to get scholarships, right? To still get offers after the early signing date. So you want to be prepared. So when February 7th come up, you have done some homework, like I'm telling you right now, during the holiday break and as you start the new year, and following coaches online, following them on their social media platforms. You need to make sure you do that. Reach out to them. There's nothing wrong with you reaching out to them. Because of some of the rules, they can't reach out to you. But you can always reach out to them via email. So you want to, like I said, head coaches, the OC, the DC, the position coach, the director of recruiting, player personnel people. For you kids who are still wondering and waiting, but you've had some conversation with some maybe some FCS or some Division I schools, top Division I schools or Division II schools. You need to take that opportunity. And if you are that type of kid, all right, at any sport, but for you football guys, if you are that type of player that you feel you are a Division I kid and you have to go a lower level division, well, you go ball out at that lower level division, right? You go do that. You go be a, you know, whether you're starting or not, if you get opportunity to play, you go ball out for a year or two and then try to take your opportunity to transition, right? So you have to do that. And if you don't, if you want to prove that you are that type of kid, then take that opportunity that you have to go play wherever you need to go play right now and ball out. And if you can show that you can ball out at that level that you're playing, that lower level that you're playing, that you have to start out playing with at right now, that's fine. But then you may have because we have this transfer portal, then you may give yourself the opportunity down the road to transfer up a level. If you can show that at this lower level, and like I said, I'll give you a story. One young man that he's been playing Canadian football, pro football for a couple of years. He was the rookie of the year for the Edmonton team he played with in the CFL. But when he came out of his school, Carson Newman, the conversation I had with him before he went to Carson Newman, because I thought he was a Division I kid, but because he wasn't getting any help back home in Florida from his high school coach, he had to take what he could get, and I explained to him, you go ball out. And he became an All-American, I believe, his sophomore year. But he was like Defensive Player of the Year his freshman year. He ended up starting, blocking a punt his freshman year, and ran it back for a touchdown. He was a free safety, balling out, right? And I shared with him, I said, if you feel like you that type of player, you got to go ball out. And then he was chosen for the East-West Shrine game in Florida before they moved it again, the East-West Shrine All-Star game. He got chosen as a Division II All-American to play in the East-West Shrine game. But unfortunately, he hurt his knee in, I think, the last game or 2 games of the season. He had to have knee surgery. I mean, he's doing, when he was coming out of college, this was a few years ago, but he did what was necessary. He did as I told him. If you're that type of kid and you should have been a Division I kid, then when you go to this Division II school, you better play like you at a higher level than most Division II kids. You should be playing a Division I kid who just happened to have to play Division II football. He did it. He became a Division II All-American. When he got healthy, he got into the Canadian League. He's working his way to try to get an opportunity with the NFL. I know he has some XFL teams looking at him. But as I shared with him, you have to show that you're capable of playing, at the next level. And he did that. And I'll give you another example of a young man that came out of my high school, Lakewood High School in St. Pete. He was, I graduated 87. He was, I think, 80 or 81. He was 6, 7 years older than us. I won't share his name right now because I haven't had a chance to talk with him, but I can just share his story. But he played 1 year high school football his senior year for that same coach that I had that wasn't helping people at our high school. So he wasn't helping guys even in this guy's era, and I know some of these guys back in the early 80s that came to that high school, and the coach was doing the same thing. We had that same coach, wasn't doing anything. And that's why he only played 1 year of varsity football. His teammates that he grew up playing Little League football with begged him to come out and play. He was a star baseball player and a star track athlete at our high school. He was one of the fastest in the state of Florida. Hands that period, one of the fastest in the NFL when he got to the NFL. So I'm just sharing a story. Played 1 year of varsity high school football. 1 year. Okay. And like I said, his teammates begged him to finally come out. And the reason why he didn't, like I said, didn't want to play was because the high school coach wasn't helpful, and he knew. And he didn't want to put up with that coach. So he just stuck with baseball and track all his years in high school until those guys convinced him to come out and play football that 1 year. And still, didn't have a lot of offers that he probably should have. When you got one in the fact, because like I said, this coach was doing more hurting than helping us. He had schools that were coming to talk to him, but because we had I hate to say it for lack of a better word, we had a jerk for a high school head coach. Just telling it like it is. It's the truth. I'm not going to sit here and cut corners and tell lies. We had to work. Those guys in those years, and even up to my years in 87, we had to work for what we got on our own. Period. Truth. So if you got a high school coach, you're blessed to have a high school coach, head coach that are helping. Hey, that's awesome, because there are some of them out there. But for those ones who don't, and I hear a lot more stories of ones who don't. Okay, and just telling you like it is. Right. I've been a coach for over a decade, so I know. I even learned more about it from my head coach that I coach with. Sharing things with me about. And he was that's why my son wasn't going to play for anybody else other than him, Coach Davis, where Coach Harvey is right now, taking over his son-in-law. Great man, Coach Davis, John Davis. But this young man that I'm telling you about, because the coach wasn't helping him, he last minute he decided I believe he got drafted in baseball to the Yankees or someone out of high school, but it wasn't a high draft pick. It wasn't, baseball is funny. You get drafted out of high school. If you don't get drafted in a certain round or get paid, offered a certain amount of money, it's better to just go to college and play major Division I, because that's like playing high minor league baseball, right? High level minor league baseball when you're playing top level Division I baseball. But he had more of a love for football, but he was just as good in baseball and track as he was in football. So he took the opportunity last minute to go to Northeastern Oklahoma Junior College to play football. Right. He decided to do that. Did his 2 years at Northeast Oklahoma, was a junior college All-American because he was that type of guy, but he took the option that he had. And I meant to also share with you, his father was good friends with Coach Lovett's father, because this player that I'm talking about, his dad played minor league baseball with Coach Lovett, who started University of South Florida's football program. His father played minor league baseball with Coach Lovett, Jim Lovett's father. And so they were close, and that's why Coach Lovett would coach or recruit our area when he was a coach. Wherever he was, he recruited me and my brother. So he recruited our hometown where he's from in St. Pete, very heavy. When he was at Kansas State, when he was at Iowa for 1 year, and when he went on to South Florida. But this young man that I'm telling you about, he decided to go to Northeast Oklahoma Junior College and was a JUCO All-American. Ran one of the fastest times in the NFL Combine when he came out of University of Louisville as an All-American punt returner, and kick returner, and also wide receiver. Um, and he spent most of his years playing with the Oilers. And but just to share you a story, it was a lot of last minute things. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, students. Even though there's some things, even though it may be a last minute and you're not sure where you're going, like some of these early signings are getting blessed to be able to do, don't your opportunity is going away. There's a lot of ways to get to where you want to be. It may not happen exactly how you want it to happen, but there are a lot of ways to get to where you want to be. I thought my son should have got drafted. I thought my son should have had a lot of different things going on, through his college and opportunity in the pros, right? But he got there. So there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? You've heard that saying, right? So don't think your dream is not going to be fulfilled because it didn't happen the way you hoped and dreamed it would, right? But if it can happen, no matter. There's a lot of ways guys got to college and got their education paid for, and then those ones who felt like they were able to play at the next level in pro, right? And they may not have gotten right into the NFL. They may have had to go to the CFL, or they may have to go through indoor football arena league, or they may have had to go through, other options like the XFL and all those other options that are out there. And I tried those same things before I got my opportunity to sign my free agent contract after a year out of college. So don't think that your dream can happen. The ultimate thing you want to do is make sure you can get your education paid for whatever sport you're playing, male or female. That's the ultimate goal, right? That's the ultimate goal. And this is what Coach Smith wants to help you with more than anything, is to get your education paid for. Okay. And so you're hearing me from somebody who knows personally. Okay. So this is why we're having this. But also, like I said, you definitely want to be sure, for you guys that are early signings, know that this is where you want to go. Thankfully, we do have the portal and NIL stuff going on. But for you guys who are not sure where you're going, don't think your dream is over, right? So when this early signing day period ends, get on top of doing right now, even before the early signing day. Get your name out there. Get yourself more exposure, right? Get on the website for these schools at the Division I, Power 5, mid-level, FCS Division I, Division II. If you think you're at least a Division II kid, get your name, get yourself out there, right? Follow these coaches, touch bases with them. Like I said, get your intro letter. If you need help with that, I have a service that I provide where I have all this stuff. I have templates for introduction letters and football or athletic profiles for whatever sport, male or female. These recruiting methods work the same for all sports, for all male or female. Okay. So like I said, I just wanted to share those stories with you of things I know personally that can still happen, and so I just wanted to share that today. And like I said, I don't want to be long today because I know football and NFL and college basketball is on. So keep your dream and your hope alive, because it is still possible. But you have to do these things that I'm telling you right now. Get your intro letter and your athletic profile done, and email these coaches, these recruiters, okay, the head coaches, the OCs, offensive coordinators, the DCs, defensive coordinators, the director of recruiting, and the player personnel people. And that's for all sports and any sports, for anybody that's listening. All right. If you're a player, get with your parent. I got my email and my link tree link in there for you to utilize and talk with Coach Smith. Like I said, be sure to email me. Be sure to follow me on my LinkedIn. Be sure to follow me and I think some of you guys will join. But I just want to be sure that you guys gotta be sure to hit me up. Like I said, I'm going to be giving my digital course out, and I'll be giving more information about that as we wind down the end of the year, because I'll be doing these free lives on the weekends. Like I said, mostly on Saturdays at 11 a.m. If not, I'll let you know before that. I'll be doing some things during the week as well. And as I shared, the early signing day for football is coming up. And so there'll be a lot of news about that. And so as they trickle down, these early signees are going to be looking for you other guys out there to get signed, right? because student athletes are graduating. And so your opportunity is coming. There are guys in the transfer portal leaving high-level schools and going to low-level schools, and vice versa. There are low-level division transfer kids in the transfer portal going to higher level. There are kids who are deciding, hey, my education is paid for, and I have another year eligibility, and I don't want to play anymore. I was watching Montana beat North Dakota State. There's a kid guy has another year as an awesome running back, and hopefully he gets opportunity to go to the next level. But he has another year due to injury early in his career. He could play another year, but he just said, hey, I'm done. I want to win the national championship. And if we do it or not, he's like, hey, I've enjoyed it. He got his education paid for. That's the ultimate goal. Get your education paid for. And if you are blessed to have an opportunity to play at the next level, great. We can talk about that too. Because like I said, my son is back with the Arizona Cardinals finishing out the season this year. So you're not talking to somebody or hearing from somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. I know what I'm talking about. If there's something I don't know, I know who to contact. Okay, to help student athletes. And like I said, I'll be giving information about paying for my 10-week digital course that I'm going to be doing live for the first time starting the end of January, sometime in February, that you can get a huge discount on that when I release the information about that. All right, later this year and first part of the 2024, I'll be giving more details about that. So you got to have resources. I wish this was out when I was coming out of high school. I wish there was somebody I knew that played at every level and was willing to share information. And because we have social media and all these different things, we can go live, we can help as many people as possible. So if you know parents, student athletes out there, you want to share this information. Like I said, my email and my link tree is in the chat. So for those who just joined, get that email, get in contact with me. So follow me, follow me on YouTube, IG. As I said, at the end of this year, I'm going to be moving more to doing my lives on Love the Game 24/7 on Instagram. I'll still be doing YouTube and Facebook lives, but I'll also be moving from Coach Smith, which I'll continue to keep that. But I have my business, Love the Game 24_7, come January 2024, the new year. I'll be on more of my lives there and not on this IG live. So be sure to follow me. You can follow me here, but be sure to follow me at Love the Game 24_7 on Instagram. All right, to get all this great information. All right, so I just wanted to be sure that I took some time today, since early signing day for football is next Wednesday on the 20th, and then the normal signing day will be on February 7th. I think it will be open for that. So hit up these coaches, guys. Get your intro letter. I have templates for that. I have a template for athletic resume that student athletes should have, and you should be doing things on filling out questionnaires on the student on the college athletics website for your sport, as well as sending these things out personally, email to those coaches, right? And this is for any sport, male or female athlete, doesn't matter, student athlete. These are things that you need to do to help you get where you want to be and get your education paid for. You got to get this done. You got to do this to help yourself out, right? And parents, you got to be involved. You got to work with the college coaches. You got to have an open line of communication with parents and student athletes. These are their student athletes, right? It's their parents who are going to pay for their education, right? And parents, remember, you got good coaches who are trying to help your kids, okay? So you got to, if you care about your student athlete as a coach and as a parent, you guys will get it done, right? And so if you have to me, if you don't think it's your job as a coach to help your student athlete, go do something else. Do not coach, right? This is not part of your job description when they hired you, but it is. So go do something else if you don't want to help your young lady or young man out and getting their dream of playing at the next level. Or if some student athletes, some kids may not realize they have that ability. I remember coaching track and seeing some young ladies that don't realize. I'm like, do you guys know what kind of scholarship you can get for running track and help your parents supplement your education? They may bless you to give you some money, a lot of money to get started when you graduate college because you got an athletic scholarship and they didn't have to put out tons of money for you. You got to think like this, student athletes. You got an ability, not just in the classroom, but in a sport or a band or whatever it is, and you can help your parents cut down having to pay a lot of money, then you need to do that. You need to take the responsibility, student athlete. You need to take the responsibility. You need to do that. 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 You need to do And parents, you got to take responsibility. Find out what sport it is that your kid is good at, that they really love. Not what you love, but what they love. And then if you got these coaches, I'm working with middle school age kids and older, because you got to start early. You got to get your kids exposed early, right? So we got to stop messing around. We can't be having all this federal loan debt that people can't pay back because they don't have a high paying job to help them with that. And schools are not cutting their costs like they should be, right? So whatever mechanism or tool that you have that can help cut your costs and paying for your child post-secondary education. Like I said, I'm a financial aid official, 25 years, administrator in financial aid. I know what it costs. I know what's happening with student loan debt, right? I'm in the middle of it, 25 years every year. So I love sports. I have a passion. I'm trying to help. So be sure you get this information and utilize it, right? People have to stop dragging their feet and get on it. You have to pay money to some things. I did it for my son. He's in the NFL now. Thank God. Be able to start out a career making some great money and get his family started, having blessing me with 2 grandkids. This stuff is important and we can't drag our feet. People like myself who take time out to give this information, you need to follow up with me. You should be following me and liking me and joining me, sharing it with people that have kids that play it. This is the things that you should be doing, sharing this information. We should be trying to help each other out as much as possible, right? And so I'm thankful that both my kids, even my one that didn't play sports, I wish he would have because he was a great baseball player, but he did what he needed to do in the classroom to get academic scholarship money. I took a job at a local college back home in Florida that gave me a break on tuition because I worked there, and he was able to go there and not come out with a lot of debt. So you got to do what you have to do, parents. You got to invest. I paid for my son to have a quarterback coach from 8th grade to his freshman year in college, and it paid off. Saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, and I want to help save you hundreds and thousands of dollars. So let's get on it. Follow, like Coach Smith. On Instagram, Love the Game 24/7. Follow me on TikTok, Love the Game 24/7. Right? Let's get on this. All right. So that's that's me getting on you, parents and student athletes, about it. Let's get it done. You can't drag your feet on this. And some things worth having ain't free. It takes an investment. Some things that are free ain't always the best way to go. You got to invest. Make sacrifices, and I did it for both my sons, and it paid off. And they have their degrees, right? And they both have good careers to be able to start and take care of a family. So let's do that for your young lady and your young man that has a desire to play a sport at the next level. So that's my little rant, but I appreciate you guys joining me. So like I said, all my information is there in the chat, or you can leave your email in the chat. If you want to leave your email before I cut out, be more than happy to do that, and I'll follow up with you. But please share with those friends and family members of yours. But I'm out of here, and I appreciate you once again. Have a great weekend, finishing up here, watching your sports today, and next week I'm looking forward to traveling and seeing my grandkids. But once again, I thank you for joining Coach Smith and Love the Game 24/7. And until next time, peace out. Be blessed. Hi, Iceris. If you sorry, I'm getting ready to cut out. We had some great information. I will be sharing some more things, but if you want to leave your email in the chat before I cut out here, that'd be great. But yeah, I appreciate you joining me. I'll be back again during the week because they're going to be early signing date for college football. I'll be talking about on Wednesday, probably Wednesday evening. I'll be talking about that, or maybe Wednesday early afternoon. I got to figure out what day, but yes, join me then. But I'm cutting out the live now, and I appreciate you joining me. But the live is ending now. But have a great weekend.
Person, if you, I go after if I'm attracted to